A beautiful morning. Thank you for joining us at Women's Corner today, and it's thank God it's Friday. You are very welcome. Today we're talking about women in leadership. Well, you should know that we're streaming live on all our social media platforms at Galaxy TV on Facebook and on Twitter. You can just type Galaxy TV and you definitely see us. And also you can download Galaxy Television app from Google Play Store and Apple Play Store to watch all of our live programs. Okay, our time is already far gone, but I will have my guests introduced right after the short break. I have two amazing guests, obviously. So right after the short break, we'll get cracking, and of course, I'll introduce my guests. Stay with us. Today, like I said, we're talking about women in leadership, and of course I mentioned we have two amazing guests. The first guest is Tolulokpe Omobowuje. She's the head chef, Fruity and Juicy. She's a pharmaceutical microbiologist. She's a woman empowerment advocate, and also she is a coach. Good morning, Tolulokpe.
Good morning, Rose. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me yet again. I'm excited to be here again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. Okay, we know a lot of women are in leadership role, not even the politics. A lot of women are in leadership. But first, why do you think the society has made us believe that we cannot take up that role of leadership? Because maybe they say that we were never born to be leaders, but just being supporters, even from the Bible and of course from our culture. When it comes to religion and of course the culture, you find out that they believe most women should be the second fiddle, not the first one. They should be the one inside and not the ones outside. They should be the ones spoken for and not them being spoken for themselves. Okay, so why do you think this norm has always been, and do you think we have been able to achieve the fact that things are starting to change and people are beginning to be in the role of leadership?
Well, it's for me, I believe it's just a cultural bias, because honestly, women are exceptional leaders. Women are amazing leaders. So it's been a bias that thankfully, we are coming out of. The economy globally is coming out of that. And then seeing many women hold managerial positions, many and different leadership positions now, and they are doing so good. I think that has been able to quiet that cultural belief. Of course, it's a man's word, it's generally said. But I think our men in industries and in families are beginning to understand that women empowerment is actually the best thing that can happen to any system, to any industry, and to the economy at large. It's a cultural bias, and we're over it gradually.
Okay, great. Now, since we're over it, or gradually it's starting to get over it, now there's this notion behind women that have been in leadership. They say the power gets into, let me use the word, their head. So at some point they start to find out that they can't even handle some certain, or they cannot play the role as women anymore, because why? At this point they've now tasted the fruit of power, they've tasted the fruit of being the boss, they've tasted the fruit of leadership. So it's as though as good as they cannot now be a home builder, a home manager, or when it comes to relating with people, they find it difficult. How true is that? And if you believe it's not true, why do you say so? But if you believe that's true, how can we change it? How can we change that notion about us women?
Okay. It is quite interesting. Honestly, women are amazing multitaskers. We women, we are naturally, we've been created to be able to multiply and fit into motivated spaces. And like I still said, it's still a cultural bias. You find women who are in positions, and yes, it's actually quite a lot to handle, juggling the home front, juggling the professional front, and other forms of leadership. It takes a lot. And for me, I feel like when men fill spaces, right, when they're in leadership positions, they are quite focused. There's just no other thing, right, tugging for their attention, aside from that leadership position in their companies, in their industries, or wherever they feel. But for women, there's just a whole lot of expectation. You're needed at home, you're needed at the company front, you're needed in church, you're needed in your society. Women are doing exceptionally well. And so it gets into, of course, So at some point, it can get overwhelming if there's no proper structure and strategy. Where there's proper structure, where there's strategy, and there's adequate support, women thrive and they are never overwhelmed. When the system makes available adequate strategy and support, women do excellently well. We're not overwhelmed. So, but you find that in certain homes, if it comes to support, you have a supporting family ground, right? And you are in a leadership position. There's a level of understanding and support that comes from the people in your family that will make you grounded, and you will never allow your positioning or your leadership position to get into your head. The reason why people say leadership gets into the head of many women when they get to the top and they begin to misbehave, whether to family, whether to their spouses, is because they are overwhelmed with so much. There's no structure to support that leadership position where they have found themselves.
Okay, I like what you said there. And that brings me, I have two questions, but I'll take it one after the other. But I have to mention it so it does not skip my mind. I didn't bring my pen today. Okay, the first question is you are a pastor's wife. So automatically it's like you are taking up a leadership role that you did not go to the market to buy. You become the you become the pastor's wife. You become the mother of, I don't know how they coin those things, but you become either a deacon automatically, or you have to be a deacon, or you have to take up the calling and be at the forefront of every woman, at the forefront of every youth. It's a whole lot of responsibility. And some certain women have come out to actually say that when I get married to someone who is a pastor, it does not automatically mean that I have to be in his ministry. I have to take up that call, because why? They feel like they don't want to be in that space of leadership. They don't want to handle women's issues. They don't want to start settling women's quarrel. They don't even want to, they just want to be a normal member. Now, and I think those people probably understand their strength. But I've seen a whole lot of people that, in fact, that's the more reason why they want to marry a pastor, because why? They want to be in that leadership role as a woman. And you have found a lot of women that, will I use the word, mess up that role a whole lot. In fact, you will wish they were just members and not even the pastor's wife. You understand? There are some very good pastor's wives, there are the other ones. I'm saying this because you are a pastor's wife. So what would you even say about the role that you take up? And how would you tell women to go about this, even if they want to take up the role and they do not want to take up the role?
All right. Thank you very much for this question. I'm quite delighted about this particular question. The thing is, marriage on its own is a ministry. And I need people to understand that. The moment you are getting married to a person, you as a woman, you have an integral part to play in that person's life. And that role, it cuts across whether it's ministry, whether it's their professional part, whatever part that this person is holding, and vice versa for men. When you marry a person, you are automatically called into a calling in that person's life. So let's understand, let's establish that part. So now coming to marrying a pastor, I as a person, I never wanted to get married to a pastor. And for some reason, very interesting reason, as a child in that choir, my music director made a statement one day. I said, you get married to a pastor. And it stuck. And I'm like, how? Why? And years after, when that happened, he was like, oh, okay. He probably gave a declaration, he prophesied, and it came to pass. So leadership generally, the skills we express or manifest in leadership, first of all, are personal. Skills in leadership are first personal before you go out to actually get certifications, get educated, and get empowered with certain skills. So if you as a person do not possess certain skills, finding yourself in leadership may be quite a struggle. So while I got married to a pastor, it wasn't a struggle for me initially, because I came from that background My parents were, believers in church. They were really, really grounded in church and all of that. So I had a bit of foundation. But getting into marriage and then marrying a pastor, I already had a preparation. It wasn't something I dabbled into. I conditioned my mind. I knew what I was getting into, and I prepared my emotions. I prepared all myself for that position. You cannot be a pastor's wife and not be committed to that ministry. You cannot be a pastor's wife and not be a part of that ministry. Because if you're not part of that ministry, you have just set your husband up to fail. Every ministry, every Christian ministry has a setup. And then the role of a pastor's wife cannot be underplayed, because there are many things that your husband cannot minister to as regards to women, because he does not have the capacity to in that regard. And women are strong pillars and supporters of the church, right? We see it dated back to the time of Christ. And so if you as a woman saying you're going to remove yourself, you're not called out for this, your husband may struggle. And in the long run, he may fail in ministry and he may fail in life. So you as the wife, you have your own ministry in order for your husband to succeed. You have your own call, you have your own duties in that ministry. So it's a must. You find it may be a struggle for some persons individually, but with the right kind of counsel and exposure and understanding, they are able to find their footing and know that, I have a part to play. And if my husband must succeed, I must play my part. And it's not easy. Because women, you meet with different women, you are challenged with different programs, you're meeting people with different personalities, there are several issues happening up in the church, and if you as a woman, you are not coordinated, you don't have the Spirit of God, you don't have the fruit of the Spirit, it may be really, really hard to do your duties as a pastor's wife and uphold your husband in his own calling.
Okay, well, you've talked about the pastor angle, so now let's go to the general angle now. Okay. A lot of people still believe, a lot of women still believe they don't want to take up any leadership role. And for me, I believe even if a woman says, I just want to be a housewife, I just want to cook, I just want to clean, and I just want to take care of the house and mend the home wherever it needs to be mended. Now, I believe that a woman that is even doing that as a housewife, definitely she's already taken up a role of a leadership in her home, because she's leading by example. Her children are watching her, and some other women too might also be learning from her on how she keeps her home. But some women have decided that they do not want to be at the forefront. They don't want to lead. So that brings me to the question is it possible, or how true is it that not all women have the ability to be leaders in whatever, maybe by career, by politics, or objective, anyhow it comes? But do you think not every woman can actually be a leader when it comes to leading?
Thank you very much. Every woman created and made by God that comes to this earth, in my understanding, is a leader. In your own home, you're a leader. So the thing about leadership is not basically the spotlight. Leadership is not basically the spotlight. There's several people doing on-the-ground work in the company. You don't get to see them in the company, but they are leading. And whatever they are doing, their efforts put together brings about the success of that industry. So you as a woman, given the ability and the power and the enablement, bring forth a nation, to bring forth nations from your womb, you're automatically a leader. You can't run from it. It's just that there are different levels to it. So every woman in her own right is a leader. And the moment you have this understanding, you'll be able to step into that position, fill that position well, and manifest greatly in it. You as a mother to your child, you as a wife to your husband, you are subtly pushing your husband on. You're a part of that victory. Every victory he records and brings up, you're a part of it. So every woman made of God is a leader. But people just always want to shine from it. They believe leadership is that person who you're seeing in the forefront, in the industry, in the entertainment industry, in whatever sector there is. That is not, those are not just the leaders. You are a leader in your own right. And so you need to work in that purpose. You need to work in that energy and just move forward. Push forward. Don't just be grounded as being a housewife. For me, I wonder and I ask, why will me, a woman, or you, a woman, who had basic education, your people have an expectation of you, and God has an expectation of you. You are a royal priesthood, called for to shine. You're a city set on the hill who is supposed to shine. So why do you just want to remain behind? I think the reason why people shy away from understanding that they are leaders in their own right is because they've not come to the awareness of who they are. When you come to the awareness of who you are and whose you are, you will understand the abilities that have been given to you, and you will step into those positions. Even if you are not fully qualified, you will get into those positions and you will grow yourself. You will get all the skill and the resources you need to become better. Some people need to be pushed to feel spaces, but every woman is a leader in her own right.
Thank you very much. Every woman is a leader in her own right. That's amazing. But before we let you go, I just want you in 1 minute, because of our time, so we can have a second guest. In 1 minute, what advice will you give to women that are already in leadership, so that they can part ways for those who are coming up, and of course they can groom those who are also coming up? Just 1 minute, please, so that I can let you go.
To my sisters, to my mother, to my aunts who are already in position, I want you to know that the world doesn't end at your feet. And so you have been set aside for a time as this to make a pathway for others to come. You must be full of emotional intelligence to be able to push people forward. You must be ready to empower people. You must be ready to inspire people, because the world is a global system, and you just never know where you're going to find yourself the next minute. So always ensure that you're pushing people ahead of you forward. You're pushing people ahead of people behind you forward. Don't leave any woman behind. Every position you have is an opportunity for you to pull another woman up. And as you do, the Lord will continue to clear your path and take you to greater heights.
Thank you very much. And that's it from Tolulope Omobowoje. She's the head chef of Fruity and Juicy, a pharmaceutical microbiologist, woman empowerment advocate, and a coach. Thank you so much, Tolulope.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, all right. Now, at this point, we'll go for safety talks, and this time around is tips for the people in their 20s. If you know you're in your 20s, stay tuned. Let's watch this tip, and when we come back, we'll continue with our second guest, Juliana Olorunsogo. Let's take this.
8 tips for people in their 20s. Your 20s are a special time. This is a decade of experimenting with your talent and opportunities, figuring out what you want to do and who you want to be, and building a foundation to set up your future for success. Striking out on your own, being independent, getting your money in order, and charting a direction for your life is exciting and empowering. Few tips to impart for people in their 20s. Make a plan, but be willing to change. Setting goals is great and having a plan is smart. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter how intentional you are about making things happen. Sometimes you got to be willing to let go of your expectations and go with the flow. Make a budget and stick to it. A budget is a plan you make for your money, so you know where every money goes instead of wondering where it went. A zero-based budget is the best way to stay in control of your money, pay off debt, and build wealth. 3. Learn how to set boundaries. Saying no means you know your limit and won't compromise your boundaries. Whether it's turning down a freelance job you don't want to have time for, a date you don't want to go on, or a social event you can't afford, saying no is a sign of self-control and confidence. 4. Go fail at something. If you're not failing, you're not trying anything new. Nobody likes to fail, but looking back, failure has taught a lot of people a lesson and led them to so many new opportunities. Forget about imposter syndrome and caring about what other people think. Put yourself out there and try new things. And if you screw up, learn from it. Keep failing forward. Don't just go into debt over it. 5. Keep learning in a way you enjoy. Whether you binge books or play podcasts, keep learning about topics that interest you. Take music lessons, learn foreign languages, all of it. The more you learn and the more you try, the more you get to know yourself. And if you're out of debt, make it a point to travel somewhere new. These are all ways to learn, grow, and develop a well-rounded world view. Learning in your 20s is a great habit to establish early and maintain throughout your life. However, learn to use social media wisely and take care of your mental health. 6. Level up your skills. Diversity your demand. We all have an area where we shine, and so let's expand that. This means learning as many connected skills as you can to make yourself strong in the job market. Whatever passion you want to pursue, stock your skills by learning as many things as you can that connect your main passion and talent. Invest in quality relationships. Relationships are the emergency funds for your life. In your 20s, you should pour into a relationship that adds value to your life and theirs. This includes your family, friends, church community, or pickup leagues, anyone and everyone who brings a positive influence and support to your life. Relationships can drain you or build you, so be smart about how you budget your time. If you have people you love who actually drain the mess out of you, just take a break. And never forget to treat your body well. Make generosity a part of your life and don't ignore the red flags. Lastly, grow your relationship with God. Pursue God's plan for your life. Build His plan is always better than yours. You might think you've got it all figured out, but trust me, He knows better. Listen, life is tough enough as it is, but you don't have to go through it alone. Eight tips for people in their 20s. Your 20s are a special time. This is a decade of experimenting with your talent and opportunities, figuring out what you want to do and who you want to be, and building a foundation to set up your future for success. Striking out on your own, being independent, getting your money in order, and charting a direction for your life is exciting and empowering. Few tips to impart for people in their 20s. Make a plan, but be willing to change. Setting goals is great and having a plan is smart. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter how intentional you are about making things happen, sometimes you got to be willing to let go of your expectations and go with the flow. Make a budget and stick to it. A budget is a plan you make for your money so you know where every money goes instead of wondering where it went. A zero-based budget is the best way to stay in control of your money, pay off debt, and build wealth. 3. Learn how to set boundaries. Saying no means you know your limit and won't compromise your boundaries.
And she's a sales coach, she's an entrepreneur, the founder of Garments Production Company, and also she is a coach. Good morning, Juliana.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. It's a pleasure.
Yes. So let's get talking. Women in leadership, women in leadership. A lot of women, of course, we know have taken the leadership role and they're doing fabulously well. But I want to just ask, can you tell us one of the particular qualities or attributes that every woman in leadership must have, so at least to avoid the power drunk issues, or basically the power drunk, because most people, they believe that when women get to that point, they get power drunk and forget their responsibilities. So what are the qualities that every woman that wants to go into leadership role or want to take up the leadership role must have to be able to sustain such leadership and at the same time be able to do it so perfectly well?
All right. I need to say that being a leader is not really something that is unique, gender-based. Okay, a man can be a leader, a woman can be too. And in fact, some women that find themselves in leadership role are doing so well. All right, so because when a woman is a leader, they tend to be able to do every other things. They tend to be able to carry other things along. They tend to be able to do family. They get to be able to do their career. If they are women of faith, they get to be able to still have strength to carry their God on earth, so to speak. Now, what are those characteristics that's quality that a woman will need in this leadership? And courage. Above other things is courage, because you need courage to soar. You need courage to maneuver, even in this, especially where we have the male dominating, where we have the careers that we have, in industries that you have the male dominating. So one of those things, the quality that you really need as a woman in leadership is to really have courage, because if you don't, they sweep you out easily.
Okay, thank you very much for that one. So now you've said the qualities every woman in leadership should have. Now, what are the don'ts for any woman that thinks she's taking up a leadership role, or she believes she's working towards taking a leadership role? What are those things you advise her to always avoid, or most especially she should try not to do, so she'll be able to be a good leadership example to other women that are coming up, or other young girls that are looking up to her? I don't know if you understand.
Right. One of those things that you need as a leader is to be patient. Okay. It might look somehow so simple. It might just sound like, what do you need patience for? You need to be patient. In fact, when you want to look at the other gender, and we female, I think this thing that they say is a virtue is what makes us mothers. All right, that's just the difference between a man and a woman. We get to be more patient, and if you can do that after as a leader, you will go far. You have to be patient. You have to also not to look down on other people. You don't look down on other people, because especially when the woman that you are in the leadership position, people tend to look at you like you want to be bossy. Now let's bring this leadership thing down. Let's bring it home to women that does not have husband. Okay, maybe a widow. Let's bring this the leadership position does not really have to be in the workforce. It does not really have to be in the industry that we have as we celebrate up there. I'm talking about leadership role where the man is absent. Okay, now a woman that is standing for her children alone, or let's say, what is that thing that is so common in our Christian faith? Because I belong to that faith, and we give that as an example. All right, so let's say in our own time when we were growing up, we see women that are like second wives. Okay, second or third or fourth wife. Now, when they get to that point where their faith gets, when they give their life to Christ and all that, and you see some churches would advise them like, okay, you are the second wife, you are the third wife, the fourth wife, that place you are married to is not your place. So they get divorced by themselves. They don't feel entitled to the man. They leave the family, like they start fending for themselves.
In that place, that point, they are their own husband and they are the wife. Now, they tend to start taking leadership roles as a man, like there is a joint, something that is supposed to be a joint responsibility. It's not really in the money aspect alone, not only in the financial aspect alone that we're talking about now, but even for moral, for other support. You see a woman carrying the burden of the man and the woman together over the children. Now, if you now look at this as if this woman as a leader, what are those things, those traits we start seeing? She's going to be frustrated. She will be shouting. In fact, people around her might not really like her because you cannot get the best of her because the burden on her shoulder is what should be for people and only how is feeling. So now, if you look at that kind of a person as a leader, there's nothing really that you want to talk about. So far, you are not in her shoes. You don't really know how it's hot. You are just, something, maybe a productivity level to be something like 50%, while a man should augment it. Then you realize that she's working on 80, 90. Even at her 90 is not enough. Such women, you will realize that they will feel short of themselves. They have no self-esteem at all. You can't even find them, as in where other people are irrelevant. They themselves are not, because they are irrelevant, as in they see themselves as being irrelevant. So for such people, what do we want to tell them? We say, okay, patience.
Okay.
It's easy. Express yourself. Love yourself. Accept what you cannot change. Because that's the truth. You can't change this part. Accept what you cannot change. And communicate to as many as who are willing to listen the struggles you are going through.
I like what you said. You said accept the change that, accept some things that you know you cannot change. Just accept them the way they are. And you said love yourself. And you also said be patient, which are very good attributes for women that are actually in leadership. Now, while we're talking about women, we can't let the girls go. So because of our time, I just want you to give advice to young ladies that by the time you see their prospects, when you talk with them, you actually see that this kind of a lady will be a leader, and a very good one at that. So what advice will you give to such a young lady growing, like she's still in the process of growing up to become a full-blown woman? What advice will you give to the young girls so that they can be able to follow a particular pattern that will make sure that they don't derail from that God's given ability to become a leader? In just 1 minute.
All right. I want to add what I want to say to you young girl is that leadership does not mean toughness. Okay. It does not mean wickedness. Being a leader does not mean that you don't have emotions. You don't bury your emotions inside and you act the other way. I want to say that you embrace yourself. I want to say that you love yourself. And I want to tell you that the sky is just the limit. You can go as high as you want. You can be anywhere as you desire. Being a leader is not gender-based. So far you have every other person has a treat. If the other brother has a head, you have a head, you can be a leader. That is youngest.
Thank you very, very much. I hope the young girls are listening. Does not mean you have to toughen up, and does not mean you have to throw your emotions away. Being a leader actually involves a whole lot of that thing that you want to throw away, or that thing that you want to let go. At this point, we just want to appreciate Juliana Olorunshogo. She's a sales coach, an entrepreneur, a founder of Garments Production Company, and also she is a coach. Of course, from what she has said, you know that. So thank you very much, Juliana, for joining us on Women's Corner. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So that will be all we'll be able to take today on the program. I hope that if you know you want to go back to what we've talked about on women in leadership, you can actually go to Facebook and Twitter and rewatch if you missed the point or you missed something, especially the qualities that a woman needs to have if she wants to go into the leadership role, and the qualities you need to keep having as a woman in leadership. And also for young girls that are coming up and wants to be a leader, like Juliana said, there are a lot of things you need to put into considerations and be sure of yourself so that you don't get into leadership and be power toxic, or you start toughening up. That's when you'll find out that my boss hardly smiles. She hardly even responds well. That does not mean that you're the boss. It does not mean you're leading. When you lead, you serve. Your leading is not by being the boss. It's actually by your services. So anyways, that's all we'll be taking today on Women's Corner. Up next is The Buzz. And stay with us because it's an entertainment edition on The Buzz. And that's all for today on Women's Corner. On Monday, we'll be joining again. And remember, it's from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Every Monday through Friday. So catch you on Monday from the same time, 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Until then, do have a beautiful day. My name is Rose Blossom. Bye for now.